Welcome, everybody, to another edition of the Brown Sugar and Spice Show. Of course, I'm your host, Dr. Faye. So once again, welcome to the show. For all my listeners out there, if you want to call in and talk tonight, the number is 323-642-1753. So I'm so excited about tonight's show. We're talking about a very sensitive and eyebrow-raising topic tonight. We're going to discuss interracial dating. And of course, there's always contention around, interracial dating in regards to dating white women. But what we rarely discuss is, Black women being open to finding love outside of our race. And of course, I'm in no way bashing Black men, of course, and also I am promoting Black love, but also I want to, address, Black women who may be hesitant about finding love outside of their race, or who may be open to it. And so tonight we have a very special guest, a great friend of mine, Mrs. Chantel Dunn Brannon, who's going to come in and talk about her experiences finding love outside of her race and the experiences she's gone through in America in 2016. So without further ado, let me get Miss Brannon on the line. Hey, what's up? How are you?
I'm doing good. How are you?
Good. Thank you again for coming on to the show. I know it's kind of late, but I really do appreciate you being open to sharing your experiences.
I'm just excited to be here.
Every show, I always like to inform my audience about who my listeners are and give a little bit of background information about who you are, where you come from, and what it is that you do.
Okay, well, my name is Chantel Dunn Brannon. I have been married almost 2 years to the wonderful Robert Brannon, and born and raised Baton Rouge, Louisiana. We were 504 before we were 225 for some of the young listeners out there. Like I said, born and raised in Baton Rouge, and I lived in Baton Rouge majority of my life. Now I live in Austin, Texas. I've lived in Austin for almost 4 years, and I am a senior-level emergency management planner for the county here. So that's really all that I do. What do I do for fun? I eat, and and I do box, and I do workout. But that's really just my hobbies.
Awesome. So let's dive into the nitty gritty of this conversation. So you're a Black woman, beautiful Black woman,
yes.
Very successful,
yes.
And you have managed to find love outside of the Black community. So were you nervous about that? Was there some apprehension to you opening up your heart to a white man?
There was no apprehension whatsoever. It wasn't really anything that I really thought about, that I thought about doing. It's not like one day I woke up and I said, I'm going to be with a white guy, I'm going to be with an Asian guy today, or a Hispanic guy, Latino guy. And, as soon as I go out there, I'm going to pick the first one that I see. So it wasn't really anything like that. It was more of a situation where, I see someone that seems interesting, and, we share the same beliefs, we laugh. And, oh, by the way, whenever we look in the mirror, like he's many shades lighter than I am, and our ancestry backgrounds may not link up. But, it was just one of those things where I never really thought twice on, like, if my family or friends would approve, or, what the world would think. I found someone that I really liked, and he just happened to be white.
So, were you always open to interracial dating, or this is something that kind of evolved over the years with maturity and life experiences?
A little bit of both. I've always been open to dating outside of my race. The first time that I don't even know if you would really consider it a date, but in the 5th grade, I had a white boyfriend in the 5th grade. It lasted for like 3 days, and he got teased, and so we broke up.
But where are you from again?
Oh, I'm from Baton Rouge.
Oh, yeah. Not to be stereotypical, but, for a Southern woman growing up in the deep South and, being 5th grade and being open to just, dating a white classmate.
Yeah.
How did your family, were you counseled, you shouldn't do that, not because of their beliefs, but because of society's beliefs?
No, actually, my family they thought it was cute because, like I said, in the fifth grade, I mean, everything is cute when you're in the fifth grade. It doesn't really matter, you know. So with both of my parents being from mixed backgrounds, they weren't against it. I think that my father, he was a little bit more concerned because my father was born in the 30s. Okay, so think about that time period. And he was just more concerned, you know, how would society view me, or would they attack me, or, you know, would they let me live, if that makes any sense. And then, you know, as far as like maturity and you know, being older, I guess I was always, you know, just open to it. But one thing that I will say is that, you know, being in Louisiana, um, it's unheard of. I mean, you know, people do it, you know, and it's not like going to Taco Bell or anything like that. But I mean, people do it, but you know, it's really, really, really unheard of. It's kind of like a taboo.
But not only is it unheard of, I feel like just in general throughout America, it's very rare or less common for the black woman to be in an
Right.
interracial relationship more so than the black men because, of course, maybe just media bombarding us with images of, you know, black men with white women or air quotations, exotic women.
Right.
So, and you spoke a lot about, you know, your father's concern just for your own safety and protection. But being an adult, okay, you're no longer in fifth grade, you have this loving
Mhm.
relationship with a white man. How has a two-part question, white America responded to you when they see you with your husband, and how has the black community responded to you when they see you out?
Okay, so this is going to be very funny. I'll go back to the first time that Rob, my husband, that he came to Louisiana to meet my parents. So we were minding our own business in Sam's, looking for something for my father, and I remember like this older white man. He looked at us and stared the whole time that we were in Sam's, not even paying attention to his sweet little wife who was trying to ask him about what kind of meat that she should be buying. But he looked at us with like, I don't know, it was disgust. I had never seen it before. And so, of course, that kind of, because Rob, before he met me, he had never been to the South. He had never been to Louisiana before. So coming from where he's from, and he's from Oklahoma City, he wasn't used to those kind of stares. He wasn't used to anything like that. And I remember we got outside of the store, and I told him, I said, welcome to Louisiana. And we just kind of brushed it off, and we didn't really care. Now, I will say in Texas, or not really in Texas, but in Austin, Austin is so, Austin has been good to us. And let me just say, say a little bit about that. Like here in Austin, you see tons of people from different countries, races, religions, sexual preference. Everybody's welcome. We don't get any stares here. When we're here, we don't get any looks. We don't get any questions. We don't get anything like that. We normally get the looks and the stares like we're unicorns whenever we are in other parts of Texas. Definitely everywhere in Louisiana. Rob and I, we've only really been like in the southern portions of Louisiana, so I can't really speak on the northern portions. But, I mean, we get looks all the time.
I mean, is it like looks
but it doesn't
like
bother us.
I'm in awe, or I'm actually like disgusted? Like, how dare this white man, this black girl?
Yeah, a little bit of both. And I will say that in the beginning stages, I used to feel attacked. I used to always feel like I needed to. I used to feel, when I say attacked, I mean like just not verbally and not physically, but just why are you looking at me like this? Time it was like 2014. It's like, why are you looking at me like this? We're in a different age. Interracial marriages are legal now. Like why are we still looking like that?
So
of the people.
is this more from, do you think, white people, or is it more from black people, or it's just equal?
It's equal. It's
Okay.
equal. It's very
Wow.
equal. From all races, Hispanic, Asian. It doesn't matter. It's just equal. It's equal. That's all that I can say.
So how have black men responded to you? Because I've noticed that people give dirty looks or they say vile, mean things on social media when you see a black man, especially if he is successful with a white woman, and it's kind of like almost like, oh, it's the norm. That's an expectation in our
Mhm.
community. Kind of like, oh, okay, yeah, whatever. But I feel like the scrutiny and the criticism is heightened when you see a black woman dating a white guy, and this is like the response from black males is a little bit, I feel like it's
Right.
a little more critical. What are your thoughts on
Mhm.
that? What have you experienced just from black men? Have they said anything to you about your choice?
Yeah. Actually, it was I guess three situations that come to mind, and the reason why I say there are three situations because they're so significant. So I remember one time, and this is funny. Rob and I, we were in the mall, and we were minding our own business, walking in the mall, and we saw this black guy with a white woman, and so didn't think anything of it. I kept walking, but I saw him turn around. Well, not turn around, but I could see like his eyes were following us. And so I turned around just to see what he was looking at, and he turned around too. And I mean like all the way around. She's still walking in the regular direction. He turned all the way around and was walking backwards, looking at us. And I was thinking like, why did you do that? I mean, you're with a white woman, so why are you looking at me? But we thought it was funny. Now, two other situations with guys, two black guys that are no longer my friends. One guy, we had been friends since elementary school, and really close friends, strictly friends, nothing more. And he knew a little bit about my past relationships and, and my search for love and everything. And so he felt a need to always comment under my pictures on Instagram, real negative comments, little slight jabs, but not anything like, oh, you shouldn't be with this white man or, anything like that. It wasn't anything like that. But
But you could
I caught the subliminals. Yeah,
right.
I knew what he was doing. And so one day I looked on his Instagram page, just scrolling, and then I saw where he was saying that women who date outside of their race are lost and should be found, blah, blah, blah. So, insulting, right?
Right.
Especially from someone who's supposed to be a friend. So anger set in. I went so 225 on him for like the world to see on Instagram, and of course, like I did. It was bad, but of course, like he said he wasn't referring to me in the post, but I feel like how were you not referring to me in the post? But I haven't spoken to him since. Another guy who I had been friends with for well over 10 years. I was excited about, me dating Rob and everything. And so when I told him all about Rob, and he was like, oh, let me see what he looks like. And so I should have known, number one, let me see what he looks like. So I sent him a picture, and immediately, he texted me back, and he said, is he white? And I said, yeah, why? And right back, he said, you disgust me.
What?
Now, that hurt. Right. That hurt because you're supposed to be my friend, and I'm not even understanding why I'm disgusting you by dating someone who is not black. And, he's tried to contact me, I think maybe once around the holidays, like a couple of years ago, and I didn't even respond. But, like those friendships are gone. And, some people, it was like this. I kind of had, because my brothers, I have two black brothers, of course.
Mm-hmm.
I have two black brothers, and, they had no problems with it. I have cousins. They had no problems with it. People in my family have no problems with it. I look at it like people who don't really know me very well. those are the ones that have problems with it. But if there are any black men out there that know me and know the situation and know that I am involved with Rob, they've never said anything to me, and they better not. Because, like, I'm really, let me see, how can I say, but I always feel like I have to protect the ones that I love and the ones that I care about. But nobody has been negative towards me that I know of.
Correct. Well, listeners out there, we have Miss Chantel Dunn-Brennan giving us a very candid interview about her experience in interracial dating. She has a white husband. Once again, the number is 323-642-1753. Call on up. Join the conversation. It's a very good conversation tonight, and press 1. We actually have a caller tonight who wants to come into the conversation. Caller, please let us know your name and where you are calling from.
Hi,
Caller,
how you doing? Calling from Dallas.
Good.
Calling from Dallas.
Thank you. Deep down in the house.
I mainly had I guess I had a couple questions. First, for Chantel, how you doing?
Hello.
I know just as a black person, as a black male, when you go into situations coming from a black family where you're always prepared for, dealing with white people, dealing with people of different ethnic backgrounds, you're always prepared for it. Do you think that you were more so prepared going into your relationship with a white man than he actually was to be, be subjected to people's opinions or outlooks on your relationship? Do you think that affects how you feel about it as well? Maybe he wasn't as prepared as you were?
I don't necessarily really want to say that he wasn't prepared. I am not the first black woman that Rob has dated. And, I can't speak on anything that he has experienced in his past. I'm not really sure. But I know, like, with me, I didn't really know that it was going to be this much of a shock. And I didn't know that I was going to be in a situation where I felt like I had to break down these barriers. Like I had people telling me, like, I'm proud of you for what you're overcoming. And, like most of the time I just say thanks and I just keep moving. But, it's like normally whenever you say that you're proud of someone, like you're saying that you're proud of someone because they've accomplished something of some kind of significance. And I don't feel like we've accomplished anything here. We're just two people that are just in a relationship, and we just come from two different races. But, as far as, like, preparing for it, no, I've learned a lot. I've educated myself a lot more. But that's really just about it.
Well,
did that answer your question?
It does. Having gone through it now, does it make you apprehensive about, people that you meet? Like, are they going to think something? Are they going to say something? Are they going to have a funny opinion? Are they going to look at me funny? Does it make you do that every time you meet somebody, or does, is that just when it happens kind of thing?
It doesn't make me apprehensive. It's not like I have to introduce Rob to my friends and then I have to say, oh, and by the way, it's nothing like that. It's just that I know people, and if I get anything negative from somebody, then I'm just going to remove myself from the situation because, like I was saying earlier in the podcast, I used to be real, like, on the defense all the time. And then I had to quickly learn that I could be with a black man and people are going to say something. I could be with a woman and people are going to say something. So, like, don't be so defensive. I can't spend any of my time and energy on being defensive. So, like, I'm not real apprehensive, bringing Rob around or doing anything with him. He'll tell you, we go everywhere together. I bring him, any and everywhere that he wants to go. I'll bring him with me. So, but I also do know people. And if I know that it's going to be a situation where he's going to feel uncomfortable, then I won't bring him into that situation. And I know he would do the same for me.
But Chantel, let me ask you this. I'm not sure what your
Yes.
socio-political views are, but of course, with the recent events, current events that have happened with, Black Lives Matter movement has now emerged. Um,
Right.
and the whole stay woke, socially conscious people out there. And this has been a point of
Mhm.
contention on many social media outlets, but do you feel that a person can be pro-black but be married to someone else who is not black? Like, do you find that there's an intrinsic conflict of interest, or it's totally possible to be down for the community, be conscious, be woke, and yet love and procreate with someone who doesn't look like you?
Honestly, I've been asked this question before.
I'm
A
sure you
lot of times before. I have. And, for starters, I don't know, it's slightly invasive, And I'm not talking about you. I'm just saying, like people in general, and it kind of insinuates a little bit that like dating people of your
Mhm.
own race, that's the normal thing to do. That's what you should do. And
Correct.
I don't have to be married to a black man to understand and understand exactly what it is that black people go through in this community, in this world. I am black. I have been black for 37 years. As many times as people say, "Oh, I don't see color," I don't see how you don't. I every day that I walk out of my house and I walk into my job or I walk into a store, I'm reminded that I'm black. And do I support the black community? Absolutely. How could I not? And like I said, I don't have to be married to a black man to consider myself more pro-black. As long as we're stuck in this mindset that everyone should be classified into these certain groups, we're always going to have trouble moving forward on how we. So, like regardless of race, like people are who they are.
Absolutely. I wholeheartedly agree. And let me ask you this. This is a less serious question. So, you've dated black guys in the past.
I have.
So, was the game that, your husband pulled you with, was it different from black guys? Because, we're all about the swag and, creme de la creme. But yet, here you are, a very
Yeah.
beautiful, successful black woman, and you're married to a white guy. So, is it different? And how did he pull you?
I mean, he didn't he didn't really have any game, and I'm not saying he doesn't have any game because I think he's listening to this, but like he has game. Okay, let me just put that out there. He has game. But it wasn't anything that he did that was any different than a black man or any other race out there. He just it, like I said, I just found someone where we had the same beliefs. We liked all the same things, and we laughed a lot, and that was really just it. It was really just his personality. Game and swag that can pull certain type of people, just like flashy cars can pull certain type of people. But personality really, that's what I'm all about. You can have all the swag in the world and your personality sucks, and I just can't talk to you anymore after that.
Absolutely, absolutely. And you can abstain from this question, just to
Yeah.
forewarn you. It's a very personal, intimate question that I'm about to ask you.
Oh my.
Does, in your experience, um, does your okay, basically, I'm just gonna say it. So, black men consider the mandingos of the world, and that
Which is
everyone
funny.
else is inferior to them. And you're like not the first black woman that I've encountered who says that other races can't hold it down. So, without giving us too much of your bedroom life, what are your thoughts on
That is a myth. That is a myth. It is a myth, and that's all that I need to say. That it is a myth. I'm not gonna just totally get into my personal life, but it's just a myth. It's just a myth. The same because honestly, some people they get into relationships with black men because of that stereotype. Some and Rob and I we laugh about that. And so some people get into relationships with black women because of XYZ sexually. Some people get involved with white women because of XYZ. And I'm just not going to put that out there. And so, people date different races and they get into relationships with different races for all the wrong reasons if that's what you're going after. A person is a person. So, like I said, it's a myth. It is such a myth.
Thank you for clarifying that. You're definitely confirming what I was already told. So just to wrap up this session, so what advice do you have for, a Black woman who hasn't found love but wants to be committed to the Black community and just simply hasn't found love? Like, how can she be more receptive to dating outside of her race?
Well, one thing, I guess my advice is this, it's just real simple. You just let interracial couples decide what being in an interracial relationship means to them. As far as Black women who are considering to date outside of their race, they need to understand this, first of all, because this was one of the things that I was told before I was in a interracial relationship. There are absolutely no scriptures, no biblical authority in the Old Testament or in the New Testament forbidding of interracial relationships and or marriages. I know that in the past I have heard the scripture, I can't call the book right now, but it's about mixing tribes. And a lot of people, they use those scriptures to say that Black people, white people should not mix. And I think that that's just totally absurd. So anyone who has thrown those scriptures and your family and friends, and they try to justify like why you should not be in an interracial relationship, and they throw those scriptures at you, nothing says that in the Bible. Not people use the Bible for the way that they want to use it for, to get their message across at the time, and that's just not right. How can I say, like, the images in the media, sometimes you have to keep in mind that that's media. That's a celebrity. That is what they're going through. And, like little old me, I'm thankful that my family supports me in my relationship and in my marriage. I'm thankful that I have great friends that I'm surrounded by that support my relationship and my marriage. And a lot of people don't have that. And so, my advice is that if you find somebody outside of your race that you care a lot about, and if you do have any kind of family members or friends who do not agree with that lifestyle or do not agree with that relationship, sit and try to talk to them and over and over again and try to let them know, like, I care about him or her. I love him or her. And just try to make them understand that, like, this is what I want to do. And eventually people, they kind of forget why they don't like the person in the first place. Once they tear down that shell of, okay, that's a color, then, they start to look deeper into that person. So that's just my advice. Just go through life and just do exactly what it is that you want to do. People ask me all the time, why do you choose to date outside of your race? Well, why do you choose to do a lot of things? Just go back to that. I mean, it's just simple. Do what you want to do and do it with no fear. And don't do it because of stereotypes at all. Because I can tell you right now that white people like chicken way more than what you think they do. Okay? So, like all those different stereotypes, just throw those clean out the window. Don't get into a relationship based on that. Just be positive. If you go into it, with all relationships, you go into it positively and you're going to get something positive out of it.
Absolutely. We actually have time for one more caller. Last four digits of the number is 5687. About to bring them on the air. So, caller, please state your name and where you're calling from.
Yes, my name is Brian. I'm from Dallas.
B-Town.
So my question, I have a question for you. how was it? How difficult was it, or what was the experience like to mesh your families and the cultures together, church and family reunions and all those things? Was it difficult? And I just want to know how did that go? Because in my family, I have an interracial family, and my grandmother, she's from the South, and she raised us and her kids that no matter what, no matter who we bring to our family, we treat them as family, no matter what. So I was just wondering how did that work with your family?
Well, with my family, you can ask my husband. He says it all the time that when he first met my mom, she greeted him with like a beer and an ashtray. I mean, my family is very welcoming. And so, honestly, the first time that I met Rob's family, it was the same way. They were very welcoming, and they weren't just being nice because, of course, everybody puts on their best behavior in the beginning stages because they're just trying to figure you out, And so I will say this, that I was slightly nervous, and only nervous because I didn't know how our families were going to mesh. But the first time that our families met each other was at our wedding. That's the first time. And, I remember telling Rob, like, look, at this wedding, I want everybody to just sit wherever they want to sit because, you know how they have the bride's side on one side, and then if you're here to see the groom on one side, and I didn't want it to be like black people on one side, white people on one side, so everybody just meshed. And, to sit back while we were at the head table, just he and I, just to sit back and see our families talking to each other and, and joking with each other and taking pictures with each other and laughing with each other, race really went out the window. So I think that Rob and I both, we are very thankful that we have families that are welcoming like that are accepting of each other and our cultures and all the crazy things that we do. But some families aren't that fortunate.
Wow.
Coming up to this podcast, I had a lot of things that I had to think about because when I posted that I would be doing this podcast, and I had such a flood of people that were and I know for a fact these two ladies, they dated outside of their race, and they were just like, I am so glad that somebody else, well, actually it was three ladies, I'm so glad that somebody else is speaking on this topic and speaking so positively about the topic and what it is that we go through on our journey for love or on our journey in our marriage, so I guess I'm doing all of this for them.
Well, thank you. Thank you so much. So we've actually come to the end of the show. Once again, listeners out there, thank you for listening to another segment of the Brown Sugar and Spice. Our next show will air sometime in January. I haven't finalized the schedule yet, but we will be talking about child support and maximizing your benefits for yourself and your children. But Ms. Chantel Dunn, thank you once again for coming on to the show. If you have an Instagram or Twitter handle that you would like to share with listeners, they can follow you. Please feel free to let them know.
Okay, everybody, I can be found. You can look into my boring life. I am on Twitter and Instagram, and my handle is I Can Tell. So that is ICANTELLE. I Can Tell. On Twitter and Instagram. Follow me, I'll follow you back.
Cool. Thanks again, Chantel, for coming on to the show. Again, you can find us, Brown Sugar and Spice, on IG at LDY Superfly or BSS Blog Radio. Also, you can find us on Twitter at BSS Blog Radio, or just like us on Facebook. Greatly appreciate any positive or negative feedback that you may have. Always open to that, bettering the show, like our Facebook page at Brown Sugar and Spice Blog Radio. And we're going to say good night. Peace.
Life is like a big